Yeah, this Krishna book song is found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 796. I'm assuming that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the actual composer because I've never seen it attributed to anyone else other than him.
Hmm.
Okay, here we are. And let me find the words for everybody. We're supposed to have a new participant tonight. Hopefully she'll come. Her name is Piper. She's married to Rasik Prabhu. They live in Atlanta, Georgia. And I recruited them to join us this evening, so I hope they'll come. All right. Let's share the screen here on the lyrics to the Krishna book song.
Who is Rasik Prabhu? Is he a disciple of Prabhupada?
No, he is from South Africa. He took his initiation from Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. Okay, now I'm just trying to figure out. Here's the word standard. Okay, great. I mean, everyone knows the words to this anyway, but I'll just pull it up. Why is it not appearing here on my screen? Gee. Let me start the screen share again. Okay. Technical challenges here. Share screen. Okay, great. Got it. There we are. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatchadeshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatchadeshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can you see the screen okay, Mahaburi Prabhu? Is it working for you?
I'm on my phone, so it's not going to get any bigger. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Will you be able to read from your phone, or that's too much of a challenge?
Yeah, you can have someone else read.
Okay, you can share your comments. I really would like to relish this chapter. Not that we don't relish the other chapters, but because it's dealing with the education of Krishna and Balaram, it goes into a lot of detail about the 64 arts and the 14 sciences that they learned in 64 days, which is pretty incredible. course, it's not incredible for Krishna. If we compare ourselves, it's like, what? Okay, so chapter 44. So what I did for the first time today is I lined up, well, actually, this is the second time I'm trying this. I spent some hours finding the slides to go with the actual text of the Krishna book. So we'll have a painting to go with every paragraph. I tried for it. I didn't quite get it all done because it was really time consuming, but it was really nectar to do it. It was a really great meditation. So I'll just begin chapter 44. Krishna recovers the son of his teacher. When Lord Krishna saw that Vasudeva and Devaki were remaining standing in a reverential attitude, he immediately expanded his influence of Yoga Maya so that they could treat him as Balaram. They could treat him and Balaram as children. So this is where we left off yesterday. Krishna and Balaram went into the Kamsa's dungeon and removed their shackles.
So you're
that's
not
what
showing that on the screen, Prabhu, just so you know.
Oh, it says you're screen sharing.
It's just
Okay.
showing the song that you sung.
Oh, okay. Well, I switched over. I'll refresh it. I'll try it again. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. But first of all, I have to, okay, share screen. And now how do I pull up the slide presentation? Okay, I see it on my screen now. Thanks for letting me know, Nandapatni. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, here you go. That's your painting.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I've got the presenter's notes underneath. Hopefully everyone will be able to read when it comes to their turn. When Lord Krishna saw that Vasudeva and Devaki were remaining standing in a reverential attitude, he immediately expanded his influence of Yoga Maya so that they could treat him and Balaram as children. As in the material world, the relationship existing between father and mother and children can be established amongst different living entities by the influence of the illusory energy. So by the influence of Yoga Maya, the devotee can establish a relationship in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is his child. After creating this situation by his Yoga Maya, Krishna appearing with his elder brother Balaram as the most illustrious sons in the dynasty of the Sattvatas, very submissively and respectively addressed Vasudeva and Devaki. So before I read any further, I thought Krishna and Balaram were in the Yadu dynasty. So who are the Sattvatas? Anyone know? Okay. So Krishna's addressing. My dear father and mother, although you have always been very anxious for the protection of our lives, you could not enjoy the pleasure of having us as your babies, as your growing boys, and as your adolescent youths. Krishna indirectly praised the fatherhood of Nanda Maharaj and the motherhood of Yashoda as most glorious because although he and Balaram were not their born sons, Nanda and Yashoda actually enjoyed their childhood pastimes. By nature's own arrangement, the childhood of the embodied living being is enjoyed by the parents. Even in the animal kingdom, the parents are found to be affectionate to the cubs. Being captivated by the activities of their children, they take much care for their well-being. I just realized I don't think I gave the Zoom link to Piper and her husband. So
No, she's here.
She's here.
She's
Oh.
here.
okay.
I wanted
Here.
to say something,
Hi,
Prabhu.
Bo.
Haribol.
John, Welcome, Piper. Thanks so much for coming.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So I'd
Krishna.
like you to meet my god brother, Mahabodhi Prabhu. He's somewhere there amongst the Brahmajyoti. There's a lot of lights. Okay, that's
Oh.
Mahabodhi Prabhu. I met Mahabodhi Prabhu in 1975 when I was Bhakta Glen at the Chicago Temple, and he was coming through with the crack commando team of Satsarup Maharaj's library party, along with Ganesham Prabhu, who later became Bhakti Tirtha Swami,
Oh.
Kalakanta Prabhu, who is the president of the Krishna House in Alachua,
Uh-huh.
Tatvavit, who's a major editor for many books, and BTG. So many illustrious devotees. And these were like, I saw them as Srila Prabhupada's Green Beret, if I could say, or Navy SEALs, because they were going into Harvard, Yale, Cambridge, you name it. And they were like dropping, nuclear bombs of Prabhupada's full, complete sets of Chaitanya Charitamritas and Srimad Bhagavatams. And I was, trying to do a few single Bhagavatams at the airport, or sometimes I'd go out on State Street to do a few BTGs. But these devotees, they were unloading 17 volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita at one time. How many volumes of Bhagavatams were there at that time, Mahabodhi Prabhu? Is it 30 volumes, or I'm not sure. Would you remember? You're on mute right now. Or he's on the
we
phone,
signed
maybe.
up. We signed them
Yes.
all up for whatever books there were. So at different years that we saw different institutions, there were so many books that the standing order means every time another one was published, they'd automatically get it. So, now all the books that went from the 12 cantos have all been received from those libraries, institutions, professors, and mayors and all those guys. So that at that time it could have been 6, could have been 10, depending which year we did
Right.
we did those things. Yeah.
So you laid the foundation, and then they would receive all the future Bhagavatams.
Yeah, whatever we had, they would get whatever, and then automatically by the sign up, they would get and pay for each of the volumes as they came out.
When I met you, the 4th cantos were just coming out when I met you. I remember that. Because I remember the Ajamil didn't come out until sometime in 76 that we started receiving it at the airport. And beside Mahabodhi Prabhu is my god sister Nanda Patni Devi Dasi, who hails from across the ocean, presently residing in the warmer weather of Santa Cruz, but she's from England. And she had the really far out fortune to be present at a hall in England when George Harrison presented the Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. That was 1970, 71, 70, must have been 70.
Yeah.
That's when it came out. And we have a faithful Krishna Chandra Prabhu here, who is usually the first one to arrive. Yeah. And and Risangi Devi Dasi, my god sister, is also from the Santa Cruz area, and she's a family therapist. She's driving in her car right now, but she, yeah. And Piper met the devotees. Actually, you got introduced to Krishna at the Yogananda community in California.
Yeah.
Was that before 2014, Piper?
It was 2001 when I first started going there. But I jumped over to the Krishna consciousness side around 2014.
Super. And you started meeting Prabhupada disciples, and
at the LA temple.
You met your husband.
Yeah, I met my husband first, who was in South Africa. He was, but I was going over to Govinda's to have lunch every day, or not every day, but every time I would go to the Lake Shrine, because it wasn't that far.
The prasadam started to take its effect.
Yeah, the prasadam started to take effect.
Super.
And Prabhupada's little books, they always had a little stack of his books on the tables.
Oh,
At
nice. At the
Govinda's.
restaurant. Govinda's.
Yeah, and they were free. I take them home and
Mm.
start reading them.
Finishing off your material life day by day,
Yes, trying.
not realizing that you were putting an end to everything. Actually, I shouldn't put it that way. Putting an end to the material life and beginning a deep spiritual
Life. Yeah.
Prabhupada. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super. Okay.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no, so happy you could come. Always great to have a new face.
Yeah.
Not that, I mean, everyone's eternally youthful, but it's great. Great to have new participants. All right. So,
Prabhu, can I say something real quick?
yes, you were going to say, go ahead, Krishna Chandra.
Yes. So you were asking about Satavatas, I believe, right?
Sattvatas, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he was a king in the Yadu dynasty, and he had 7 sons. One of those sons is named Vrishni, who is the ancestor of Krishna in the
Krishna
official
dynasty. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Thank you. I really appreciate it when you do that backup.
No problem.
Support. Yeah, that's
I want to know too. So
yeah. So I'm not sure, Piper, when you came in, did you catch a little bit how Krishna was expressing that he didn't really have much chance to spend time with Vasudeva and Devaki because they were
No, I think
transferred.
I might have missed that part. I got to it when you started reading that last verse.
Okay. So Nanda Patni, could you just give a little recap of what I just read, just for Piper's sake?
It's probably better if you have someone else, actually, because I
Okay, Mahabodhi, you're listening in.
yeah.
Can you just do a quick recap for Piper? I think he's on mute again. Yeah, anyway, that's it. What you're looking at right now is Krishna and Balaram releasing their mother and father, Vasudeva and Devaki, from Kamsa's prison, and expressing their affection for them. So we're taking a turn, one slide each, and Krishna Chandra is next. Then it's Nanda Patni after Krishna Chandra. So let me just get okay, here we are. Okay, Krishna Chandra, can you see the presenter's notes at the bottom?
under the artwork, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I can see it, but I will have to get scrolled eventually. But
Yeah, I'm right there. That's what I'm there for.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. As for Vasudev and Devaki, they were always very anxious for the protection of their sons, Krishna and Balaram. That is why Krishna, after his appearance, was immediately transferred to another's house. Balaram was also transferred from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb. Vasudeva and Devaki were full of anxieties for Krishna's and Balaram's protection, and they could not enjoy their childhood pastimes. Krishna said, unfortunately, being ordered by our fate, we could not be raised by our own parents to enjoy childhood pleasures at home. My dear father and mother, a man has a debt to pay to his parents, from whom he gets this body, which can bestow upon him all the benefits of material existence. According to the Vedic injunction, this human form of life enables one to perform all kinds of religious activities, fulfill all kinds of desires, and acquire all kinds of wealth.
Nanda Patni.
And only in this form, this human form, is there every possibility that one can get liberation from material existence. This body is produced by the combined efforts of the father and the mother and father. Every human being should be obliged to his parents and understand that he cannot repay his debt to them. If after growing up, a son doesn't try to satisfy his parents by his actions or by an endowment of riches, he is surely punished after death by the superintendent of death and made to eat his own flesh. Yikes.
Wow.
If a person is able to care for or give protection to old parents, children, the spiritual master, Brahmins, and other dependents, but does not do so, he is considered to be already dead, although he's supposedly breathing.
Do you have a comment on that, Nandapatni?
That's just pretty stern there, unequivocal.
Yeah.
That's my
Glad I'm
comment.
taking care of my mom.
Yeah, you're taking care of your dear mom. So you get extra Krishna points for that.
I was just telling Krishna Chandra that I did that for both my parents for 10 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Very kind of you.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I loved it.
This verse, what we just read, the paragraph reminds me of 11th Canto verse. Devarshi bhutapta nirnam pitranam nakyan kuro ayamranicha rajan. Something along the lines of, if one worships Mukunda, the giver of liberation, then automatically all their debts to the demigods, to our acharyas, to our parents, it's all liquidated. 14 generations ahead and 14 generations behind. Mahabodhi Prabhu, do you have any comment on what Nandapatni just read?
No.
Not obliged, just checking in. Sorry? Nothing yet?
No.
Okay. Any questions from anyone before we move on? It's a great verse. We're doing the greatest good for our parents when we take up to devotional service, because they become shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just a quick question here. Is your text below the image from Krishna book?
What I did is I broke up the whole Krishna book, and I'm taking it piece by piece by piece, and I'm putting a photo with every section.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's directly Krishna book.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
you're not going by chapter. You're just going by these pictures. Is that what you're doing?
What I'm doing is if we were reading through the Krishna book, I'm just copying and pasting the Krishna book, and I'm finding a painting for every section. Does that make sense? I'm aligning a painting as we read through the Krishna book.
Okay.
This is the Krishna book.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Piper, would you like to read this section, please?
Sure. My dear father and mother, you have always been very anxious for our protection, but unfortunately we could not render any service unto you. Up to date, we have simply wasted our time. We could not serve you for reasons beyond our control. Mother and father, please excuse us for our sinful action. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead was speaking as an innocent boy in very sweet words, both Vasudeva and Devaki became captivated by parental affection and embraced them with great pleasure. They were amazed and could not speak or answer the words of Krishna, but simply embraced him, and Balarama, in great affection, remained silent, shedding innocent tears.
Isn't this a beautiful painting?
It is.
Commemorating this. It's by what's his name? Ravi Varma. He used to be like a painter for the king. So this is old. This is at least a century old, this painting. I mean, not as old as 16 or 1700s, but
he's definitely tried to embody the affection.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you a question, Nandapatni, when choosing background colors for these paintings. Like I put I gave this one sort of like an off pink one because of Devaki's
That's good.
sari, and there's a little bit of red in the guard there. Do you have a tip or a trick, or is there
Well,
any?
my only tip would be to remain as neutral as possible and let the image speak for itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at a painting like this, it's got a little bit of green, it's got a little bit of red. It's
Yeah,
got
that's fine. I mean, you can have a tonal equation, that's fine, but yeah, you don't want to, you want it to be tamped down as much as possible.
in other words, you don't want it to be overpowering compared to the
Yeah,
paint.
you want to go straight to the message of the image.
I think that's what I'm doing, but I just wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Yeah.
Okay. So here we have King Ugrasen and Krishna. Whose turn is it to read now? It'd normally be Rasangi's, but she's probably still driving, and Mahabodhi's not able to read from his phone. So I guess it's back to me again. All right. Mahabodhi, anytime you want to jump in, Prabhu, if you're inspired to make a comment, then please feel free to do that. Okay. So, thus consoling as father and mother, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the beloved son of Devaki, approached his grandfather, Ugrasen, and announced that Ugrasen would now be the king of the Yadu kingdom. As far as I know, Ugrasen was also in the jail. And I can't remember whether it mentioned that he was released by Krishna and Balaram as well. But I'm taking a, what do they call it? Poetic license? Is that the right term?
Mm-hmm.
To assume that he was also in shackles or locked up, and he was also just released. So Krishna's announcing that Ugrasen would now be the king of the Yadu kingdom, and Kamsa had been forcibly ruling over the kingdom of Yadu in spite of the presence of his father, whom he had arrested. But after the death of Kamsa, Kamsa's father was released and announced to be the king of the Yadu kingdom. I have a question for you, Mahabodhi. Would you know who King Ugrasen is in Chaitanya Leela? Any idea? If you don't know, then Krishna Chandra is really good at looking that kind of stuff up. I'm just curious to know. That would be Jagannath Mishra? No, wouldn't be Jagannath Mishra. For Kamsa, it might be. And who?
You'd have to look into Gorganadesha Deepika.
Right, by Kavi Karnapur.
Yeah, you'd have to look there. I don't have a copy at hand.
And Kamsa is Chankadzi, is that correct? I think that's
Yes.
what Sajjan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Kamsa had been forcibly ruling over the kingdom of Yadu in spite of the presence of his father, whom he had arrested. But after the death of Kamsa's father was released and announced to be the king of the Yadu kingdom. It appears that in those days, in the western part of India, there were many small kingdoms, and they were ruled by the Yadu dynasty, Andaka dynasty, Vrishni dynasty, and Bhoja dynasty. So this is not in the Krishna book. This is actually from the painting. King Kamsa was the son of Ugrasen. Lord Krishna was the grandson of Ugrasen. Krishna established his grandfather as the ruler of Mathura again after defeating his uncle, King Kamsa, the wicked ruler. Before this, King Ugrasen was overthrown from power by his own son Kamsa and was sentenced to prison along with his daughter Devaki. So Krishna Chandra, it is your turn now.
Thank you, Prabhu. Maharaj Ugrasena belonged to the Bhoja dynasty. Therefore, Krishna indirectly declared that the king of the Bhoja dynasty would be the emperor of the other small kingdoms. He willingly asked Maharaj Ugrasena to rule over them because they were his subjects. The word praja is used both for the progeny and for the citizens. So Krishna belonged to the Praja, both as a grandson to Maharaj Ugrasen and as a member of the Yadu dynasty. He voluntarily accepted the rule of Maharaj Ugrasen. He informed Ugrasen, being cursed by the Yayati, the kings of the Yadu dynasty will not rise against the throne. It will be our pleasure to serve you as your servants. Our full cooperation with you will make your position more exalted and secure, so that the kings of other dynasties will not hesitate to pay their respective revenues. Protected by us, you will be honored even by the demigods from the heavenly planets. My dear grandfather, out of fear of my late uncle Kamsa, all the kings belonging to the Yadu dynasty, Vrishni dynasty, Andhaka dynasty, Madhu dynasty, Dasharha dynasty, and Kukura dynasty were very anxious and disturbed. Now you can pacify them all and give them assurance of security. The whole kingdom will be peaceful.
So in this map here, which is from 1780, I did some research this afternoon and I found out this Bhoja dynasty that King Ugrasen is being asked by Krishna to take charge of is actually, today it's known as Madhya Pradesh. This map is from 1780. So I don't know if you can see, but just a little bit above that green area there of Malwa, on the right-hand side, just above Malwa, it says Matra or Mathura, Muttra, and then just above that is Delhi. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the region where King Ugrasen was ruling over. I know a devotee named Chakrapani Prabhu, and he works on showing the ancient history of the Mahabharata. So I've asked him to do more research on this for us. Oh, Nanda Patni, your turn.
I had a quick question there. So where does this line up in a timeline as to Kurukshetra and the re-establishment of Yudhisthira being the head of the Yadu dynasty?
Isn't it like 100? I'm sorry. What isn't Krishna like over 100 years old by the time of the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
I guess you say he was away from Vrindavan for 100 years.
Krishna was on the planet for 125 years. So that would have been much later.
So yeah, this is a kind of early.
Krishna's not even in Dwarka yet.
Yeah, I was just curious. Anyway.
Mabu, do you have something to say, Prabhu?
You can see when did he leave Vrindavan? When he was like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old from that time, right? So when he left Vrindavan, where did he go? He went to Mathura. So
yeah.
So this is happening back then. So if he didn't visit back to Vrindavan to Braj and for 90 years and 100 years out. So you'd have to just work backwards. So it's approximately 90 years ago, 90 years from the time of Yudhisthira's ascension for the Battle of Kurukshetra. Prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
I read somewhere that I don't remember the details now. Maybe you'll remember that the reason that Devaki and Vasudeva allegedly stayed in jail for 14 years was because they had. I don't remember. Does anyone remember that they had done something which caused them to be in? It's part of the Leela that Krishna took 14 years before he came and released them. Does anyone know anything about that? No? Okay.
No, not sure.
All right. So Nandapatni, did you finished, right?
No, didn't start. I was blabbing.
Okay. Go for it.
So all the kings in the neighboring area had left their homes in fear of Kamsa and were living in distant parts of the country. Now, after the death of Kamsa and the reinstatement of Ugrasen as king, the neighboring kings were given all kinds of presentations and comforts. Then they returned to their respective homes. After this nice political arrangement, the citizens of Mathura were pleased to live in Mathura, being protected by the strong arms of Krishna and Balaram. On account of good government in the presence of Krishna and Balaram, the inhabitants of Mathura felt complete satisfaction in the fulfillment of all their material desires and necessities because they saw Krishna and Balaram daily, eye to eye. They soon forgot all the material miseries completely. As soon as they saw Krishna and Balaram coming out on the street, Gora, scroll.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nicely dressed and smiling and looking here and there, the citizens were immediately filled with loving ecstasies simply by seeing the personal presence of Mukunda. Mukunda refers to one who can award liberation and transcendental bliss. Krishna's presence acted as such vitalizing tonic that not only the younger generation, but the old men of Mathura became fully invigorated with youthful energy and strength by regularly seeing him.
Any comment or reflection on that, Nandapatni?
No, I mean, it's pretty transcendental.
I like the point about good government in the presence of Krishna and Balaram, how everyone felt satisfied. They had all their necessities taken care of. And they forgot about all their material miseries instead of the material miseries increasing every day. So similarly, by hearing about Krishna and Balaram, our material miseries also dissipate.
Yes,
anything,
indeed.
yes, anything from you, Mahabodhi Prabhu? This painting is actually from Krishna and Balaram arriving in Mathura. It's exactly what we're reading. First canto. Any question from you, Piper?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay, cool. I love these words, that Krishna's presence was like a vitalizing tonic, that the young and the old became invigorated just by seeing him. So Prabhupada's giving us the eyes to see Krishna and Balaram by his mercy. Okay, your turn, Piper.
Okay. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda were also living in Mathura because Krishna and Balaram were there. But after some time, they wanted to go back to Vrindavan. Krishna and Balaram went before them and very feelingly and affectionately embraced Nanda and Yashoda. And Krishna began to speak as follows. My dear father and mother, although I was born of Vasudeva and Devaki, you have been our real father and mother because from our very birth and childhood, you raised us with great affection and love. Your affection for us was more than anyone can offer one's own children. You are actually our father and mother because you raised us as your own children at a time when we were just like orphans. For certain reasons, we were rejected by our father and mother, and you protected us. My dear father and mother, I know you will be feeling separation by returning to Vrindavan and leaving us here, but please rest assured that I shall be coming back to Vrindavan just after giving some satisfaction to my real father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, my grandfather, and other relatives and family members. Krishna and Balaram satisfied Nanda and Yashoda by sweet words and by presentation of various clothing, ornaments, and properly made utensils. They satisfied them along with their friends and neighbors who had come with them from Vrindavan to Mathura and as fully as possible. On account of his excessive parental affection for Balaram and Krishna, Nanda Maharaj felt tears in his eyes, and he embraced them and started with the cowherd men for Vrindavan.
This painting was done by our godbrother Pushkar Prabhu.
So there's a couple points.
Thank you.
I'll let her answer.
Yes, please.
No, let her talk first. You didn't ask her questions.
Do you have a question, Piper?
No, I was just saying it's a beautiful painting.
It is. Love it. Go ahead, Mahabodhi Prabhu.
Well, first of all, there's a discussion whether or not Yasoda was in Mathura. It's explained that Nanda Maharaj went, but Yasoda didn't go. So we should also understand in the discussions here that actually Krishna and Balaram, they didn't consider themselves, they didn't consider Devaki and Vasudeva to be their real father, in the sense of their fatherly affection, which is being hinted here by Srila Prabhupada, or at least in this picture, that Nanda Maharaj was their father and Yasoda was their mother for Krishna, because as whatever it was last week or earlier this week, I don't remember when Narasimha Prabhu was on, that Krishna was actually born in Vrindavan at the same time as Narayan, Vasudeva Krishna, appeared in Mathura. So, there's a first point. The Mathura Vasis say, "Oh, Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki," but the Brijavasis don't agree with that, because it's mentioned that Krishna actually appeared at the same time at midnight, and from Yasoda along with his sister, and that it was explained a ceremony in which cut the umbilical cord, and Nanda Maharaj gave a big festival, and this was all discarded. So for the Brijavasis, they don't see like how this is being explained. They see that Krishna had so much affection that Nanda Maharaj and that they were both in tears when Nanda left, and he didn't want to leave. So Krishna had to speak to him. They gave him gifts and so many things, and Nanda Maharaj was trying to think, what will I tell Mother Yasoda, because you're not coming back with us. And of course, even Balaram, who's born of Rohini, Vasudeva, he mentioned, said, I consider you to, that you're a real father, that you took care of us and that you guided us. And this is how we see. And it's important to understand that all of the
Your voice cut out. What? All of the what? Your voice cut out. Can't hear you. Hello. 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 Does everyone hear Mahabodhi except me?
It's very faint. The volume went way down.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Mahabodhi, could you please go back a few sentences to what you were saying? You cut out.
You might want to chat him.
They were in Vrindavan, and they wanted to check him from actually going, and which is one of the reasons they wanted to also send him to Gurukul, that somehow he could forget and he reestablish his situation as their son, in Mathura. But Krishna never really bought off in that. He performed activities in such a way to please them, but his heart was always in Braj. And this is, if you read Gopal Champu at some point, you'll see that Krishna, even though he's performing all these activities, whether it's in Mathura or Dwarka, his heart's in Vrindavan. He's always winning. When will I be able to chance to go back there? when he's in Mathura, you'll see later that he's suffering. He had to send Uddhava that, I have no association here. He's just thinking of, the gopis and his parents and the gopas. And so he had to send Uddhava to actually go to school from the gopis, and so he could learn what, a little bit what he's feeling and console him when he's in Mathura. So this is a underlying sequence across the whole platform from Mathura and Dwarka. And of course, Dwarka appeared overnight. When the threat from the demons to come to Mathura, Krishna overnight had the palaces in Dwarka all built, and all the residents of Mathura, when they woke up in the morning, they woke up in Dwarka. So there's a connection, like a doorway, for this whole Leela that's going on behind the scenes.
Wow.
Like a portal?
Yes, go on.
Like a portal or something?
Portal, yeah.
Yeah, well, imagine you're sleeping in your bed in Mathura and wake up and you're in one of 21,000 palaces in Dwarka, in the middle of an ocean, in a beautiful walled city with all opulences and jewels and so many different things, and then there's, literally thousands of, 16,000 different palaces for the different queens. And then in this way, Krishna would expand himself into 16,000 different forms and go and perform different activities there and come back. And this all took place, because one of the demons they wanted to attack Mathura, and he didn't want Braj, all the residents in Braja, to be affected. So he took everyone and moved them into the ocean in a big, to Dwarka, all in the evening. And in the morning you woke up and you were in Dwarka. If you were a resident of Mathura, the next morning you were in Dwarka. So this is an understanding of this is called the Aishwarya. Aishwarya means the opulences of Krishna. In Vrindavan and Braj, there's more Aishwarya, there's more great power shown by Krishna, but it's so far overcome by Madhurya, by love, that it's like dropping a teaspoon of salt into the Jamuna River. It's even though it could be thousands of teaspoons, the mood in Braj is so much with Madhurya, with love, that it overcomes. But here in Mathura and Dwarka, the mood of opulence, where the relationship's more formal, even familiarly, as family members, it's a little more formal than when you see everyone in Vrindavan. Everyone in Vrindavan is in a pure loving relationship. Where in Dwarka, in Dwarka and Mathura, there's different moods. There is, that's there. And it's more in the mood of Aishwarya, just so that everyone's aware of that, or opulence as opposed to sweetness.
More formality, so to speak. It's more official in Mathura and Dwarka compared to Vrindavan.
Can I ask a quick question here?
Yes.
So Mahabodhi Prabhu, you were saying that Yashoda, she didn't go to Mathura when Krishna went to kill Kamsa. Is that right?
Yes, many of the books will see that'll say Nanda went with the cowherd men to Mathura, and none of the ladies went. None his mother nor any other the elderly gopis, not Rohini, not any of the gopis, none of the ladies went. Only the cowherd men and the cowherd boys, some of Krishna's friends, and Nanda, and they stayed there for a little while, and they were very fearful. But Devaki and Vasudeva, although Vasudeva was very kind in relating to Nanda as his brother, they also made a fact of not wanting Krishna to go and see him. They made it very difficult. And Krishna would have to go on his own, and to be able to, see Nanda. and he was in tears saying, I can't come back for now. I will come, but I can't for now because I'm trying to please, the Vasus, the Vishnus, or whatever, his other relatives, which he had been separated for so long. Because there he had to establish, just like you just read earlier, he had to establish Ugrasen as the king. He had to take his parents out of the jail. There was so much disunification, discord there, as so he and Balaram had to stay for some time, but they were hoping, his parents, his Vasudeva and Devaki, were hoping that he could forget Vrindavan, which is one of the reasons they wanted to next give him the sacred thread ceremony, so he'd be seen as a Kshatriya, and then send him to Gurukul, where he can, by that association, he should be able to forget his Vrindavan. But he never did that. He could never do that. And that's permeated through the books of the Goswamis. And it's not necessarily said in the Krishna book, because they're bringing the emphasis that Krishna came from Mathura, and Devaki and Nanda. But how did he appear? He appeared in forearm form with crown and jewels and necklaces. He didn't appear as a baby. And the question when you get to the point of Krishna's appearance, his appearance as a baby had a different concept. That's where the Prakos come in, and that's where Mother Yasoda, the son of Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, he actually appears as the young boy. So there's so many different stories that are actually told more in depth by the Goswamis as you read more into Krishna's birth, But I didn't want to get too far ahead. I'm sorry.
No, thanks for that. That's great. Appreciate that.
It looks like someone by the name of Laura joined us. I'm wondering who that is. Laura, could you please, are you able to give us your darshan? Maybe this is the first time you're joining us. Do you have a camera? We're each taking a turn to read. So Nanda Patni, you finished your section, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's Piper next. And Rasangi, when you get home and you're able to read, would you let us know, please? And yeah, great. We have Laura here. I hope she or he will speak to us. Okay, so here we are. Continuing on. All this parental affection being expressed. And all right. It's a very short passage, but we can discuss this a bit. Go ahead, Piper.
Okay. After this, Vasudev had his son initiated by sacred thread as the token of second birth, which is essential for the higher caste of human society. Vasudev called for his family priest and learned Brahmins, and the sacred thread ceremony of Krishna and Balaram was duly performed.
So although we were given the sacred, the Gayatri Mantra through, what is it? Is it the right ear, I think, rather than the left ear? It's been so many years now since I heard that. I didn't get it directly from Prabhupada's mouth. I was given a tape. And I heard the tape of the Gayatri Mantra. So this is the yantra, which is supposed to be like a physical representation of the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimihi Dhiyo Yana Prachodayat. It's become a popular mantra chanted in the yoga studios. Yeah. I guess people get some benefit for it, I guess, even though we were given it as an honor, right? I was told if you want to, be able to cook for the deities, to do deity worship, and to have more potency for preaching, then you would like to aspire to become a Brahmin. And that was usually given 1 year after our first initiation. I copied this out. If I can expand on it here, what each of the letters mean. The Om, the A represents Lord Brahma. The U represents Lord Vishnu, the power of preservation, and M represents Mahesh, or Lord Shiva. Mahabodhi, would you like to say anything about the Gayatri Mantra, Prabhu, that's being given here to Krishna and Balarama?
No, actually, I shouldn't really talk about the Gayatri Mantra, for those who are not fully initiated. But I can read from Gopal Champu a little bit about the second birth and what Krishna and Balarama are saying.
Okay,
And it's a paragraph or two. I mean, if you have that much time.
As far as I know, we can discuss the first line because it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's there.
Yeah.
But not the other. Yes, go ahead.
The other mantras are available also.
I never heard that.
Yeah. They're all written and coming out of the different Vedas, if you know where to look.
No, I know, but I'm saying from our time in the 70s, that was not available. It was on a special sheet. It was all secretive.
Right. And then most people, some were lucky to hear Prabhupada speak directly to them. Others, would hear tapes, from wherever they were in the world, and Prabhupada, they would play a tape, and you'd hear.
That's what I had. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of devotees have had that.
So could you say something, because this is Piper's first session with us. Mahabodhi has access to a book written by, I believe, Srila Jiva Goswami, Gopal Champu, or is it Ananda Vrindavan Champu? Which one?
No, this one's Gopal Champu. Gopal Champu mirrors the Krishna book, but it's much longer, explanation.
It elaborates.
And this is elaborates, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Madhukanta speaking. Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta were when the two twin Arjun trees were broken with Krishna, who went through with the anvil and knocked them down. They immediately became into their demigod-like bodies. They went back to the heavenly planets, and there they performed austerities and devotional service, and then appeared on the shores of Braja in Goloka and Vrindavan, and they became bards, and they were known as Snigdhakanta and Madhukanta. Every night and every day, morning and night, they would, in the presence of Radha and Krishna and Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda and all the many hundreds of gopis and gopas and thousands of millions of gopis, they would present the different pastimes that took place on this planet, and they would be hearing them, and everyone become ecstatic. And so this is discussion that's taking place in the spiritual world. This is just a philosophical part that he's saying. When the ceremony for the second birth was completed in both places, the two boys wanted to learn the four Vedas and their Angas. They decided that they should follow the same process as others do. According to ancient sages, one should study and go into the Gurukul. Though Vyas and others of great stature would be suitable as gurus and are well known, they will think that we too already have all knowledge. Therefore, they will show some hesitation to be our guru. They are the highest Vaishnavas and have realized the Vaishnava philosophy. We should study that we will become attractive. Though we have knowledge by our natures, it is best that we go to the Gurukul. If we break the rules, it will not be auspicious for the world. A person who is fixed in Brahman and worships Shiva would be the best guru. The great soul Sandipani of a dynasty from Kasi is a worshiper of Shiva. He previously went to Prabhas and now lives in Avanti, which is like in Madhya Pradesh, a place emanating happiness and near a Shiva temple. We should go there, but in such a way that others do not know. Otherwise, it is widely known that we have gone far away. The enemies will give problem to the Yadus, and the people of Braj and our father's family down down to the paid servants will give up their bodies. What to speak of your mother, Yasoda, who displays the most intense pain for the people. So prior to this, there was explaining all the different hearing of how the ceremony was taking place. But I just wanted to read that part while Krishna and Balarama himself were deciding why they needed to go to Gurukul. Because if they don't go to Gurukul and they don't follow the process of second birth, then there'll be a disturbance in society. But then why did they not take a seemingly Vaishnava guru? Because they wanted to learn and to be seen as, like the rest of the students that are coming from Mathura and others, and not show that their specialty in learning. Although as soon as they got to Gurukul, as Gore said, they learned everything in 60 days and became, and there's so many stories that they did in there that they became, even more famous as a student in Gurukul. So that was just one of the things. So Gayatri Mantra is important. Why? Hare Krishna mantra can take you back to the spiritual world. However, the different Gayatri Mantra is considered to be, while in this material world, it's a purification, because we have different levels of contaminations in this material body and our mind and our thinking. Therefore, the different Gayatri mantras are there to help protect, so that the Hare Krishna mantra, when chanted appropriately in addition with the Gayatri mantras, will facilitate that entrance into the spiritual world, where then the Gayatri mantras do not enter into the spiritual world. Only the Hare Krishna mantra comes from there. Goloka Premadan Hare Krishna. So then the holy name emanates from the spiritual world, but the Gayatri goes up to the spiritual world. But while in this material realm, the protection and purification is needed, and that's what the Gayatri mantras do to assist the Maha Mantra. Is that close enough?
Very nice.
Yeah. So it kind of gives you that extra boost. You're cut off, Prabhu. Sorry.
I muted myself.
Oh.
It's required for the purification. In other words, if you have all the instruments, but you don't have the fire, right? In other words, the fire is the Hare Krishna mantra. But to cook something, you have to have a pot, and you have to have water, you have to have different ingredients and stuff like that. And then when you put that into the fire, then from that it cooks, right? So the Gayatri mantra is like getting these different ingredients and purifying and having different ingredients. So when the fire of the holy name can actually produce results.
Thank you very much for that explanation. I know that Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj has an entire book just on the Gayatri Mantra. I wasn't able to buy it. I don't know if it's published anymore, but I think I have a version of it as a PDF somewhere. Krishna Chandra Prabhu?
Oh, I was just going to mention, at the very least, there was a chapter in a book where Srila Sridhar Maharaj wrote about the Gayatri Mantra. I just sent you the URL for it.
Oh, okay, thank you. No, there's an entire book.
One moment. I think I might have what you're referring to. I'm not sure.
It's got a gorgeous cover on it. Wow. I think it's got like the yantra for the Gayatri Mantra on it. I think Nrsimha Maharaj published it. Jagat Guru Swami.
Oh, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Is this what you're referring to here?
Yeah, send me a copy. Can you get me one?
Oh, I bought this like more than 15 years ago from
Okay.
Yeah, I think from the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat man. I'm not quite sure where I got this from.
There's another book. I don't know if you can see it here. So this is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it's on the Kama Gayatri.
Oh, nice.
And it's translated by Bhanu Swami.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I've asked if Laura would unmute themselves, but in the meantime, let's see, did we just hear from you, Piper, or were you about to read?
No, I've read 2 verses
Okay.
back to back.
All right. So I guess it's Laura, you're the only one we haven't heard from, and Rasangi. Are you able to read? Do you have a microphone? Will anyone answer? I guess they're just listening in. And Rasangi, when you get home, please let us know. All right, I guess it's back to me then. So, all right. During this ceremony, Vasudeva gave various ornaments in charity to the Brahmins during the Gayatri Mantra ceremony, and endowed the Brahmins with cows decorated with silken cloths and golden ornaments. Previously, during the birth of Krishna and Balaram, Vasudeva had wanted to give cows in charity to the Brahmins. But being imprisoned by Kamsa, he was able to do so only within his mind. With the death of Kamsa, the actual cows were given to the Brahmins. Isn't that a beautiful photo of the cows of Vrindavan?
Yeah.
So
Those
beautiful.
are Vrindavan cows. Go ahead, Nandapani.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Those are actual Gomatas of Vrindavan.
Other than once I had the great privilege of going along the Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg 40 years ago when it was unpaved still and very dusty, and I was trying to catch up with my god sisters because we were having to leave Vrindavan at the time. We were on traveling Sankirtan. So I was in this tiny little rickshaw and I got stuck in a herd of cows like this.
Wow.
With this wonderful little boy who was trying to cycle along. And I remember, patting all the cows as they kind of, parted as we were trying to hurry through this herd so that I didn't miss my lift. So I have this wonderful abiding memory of being, semi-stuck in a herd of Vrindavan cows.
Ocean of cows.
Yes.
Very auspicious.
Never forgot it. I've never forgotten that. Gosh.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu, it's your turn.
Then Balaram and Krishna were duly initiated with the sacred thread ceremony, and they repeated the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra. The Gayatri Mantra is offered to the disciples after the sacred thread ceremony, and Balaram and Krishna properly discharged the duties of chanting this mantra. Anyone who executes the chanting of this mantra has to abide by certain principles and vows. Although Balaram and Krishna were both transcendental personalities, they strictly followed the regulative principles. Both were initiated by their family priest Gargacharya, usually known as Gargamuni, the Acharya of the Yadu dynasty. According to Vedic culture, every respectable person has an Acharya or spiritual master. One is not considered to be a perfectly cultured man without being initiated and trained by an Acharya. It is said, therefore, that one who has approached an Acharya is actually in perfect knowledge. Lord Krishna and Balaram were the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all education and knowledge. There was no need for them to accept a spiritual master or acharya, yet for the instruction of ordinary men, they also accepted a spiritual master for advancement in spiritual knowledge.
Nandapatni, your turn.
It is customary, after being initiated in the Gayatri Mantra, for one to live away from home for some time under the care of the Acharya in order to be trained in spiritual life. During this period, one has to work under the spiritual master as an ordinary menial servant. There are many rules and regulations for Brahmacari living under the care of an Acharya. And both Lord Krishna and Balaram strictly followed these regulative principles while living under the instruction of their spiritual master, Sandipani Muni. Scroll, scroll. In this place in northern India, according to scriptural injunctions, a spiritual master should be respected and regarded on an equal level with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both Krishna and Balaram exactly followed those principles with great devotion and underwent the regulations of Brahmacharya. And thus they satisfied their spiritual master, who instructed them in Vedic knowledge. Being very satisfied, Sandipani Muni instructed them in all the intricacies of Vedic wisdom, as well as in supplementary literatures such as the Upanishads. Because Krishna and Balaram happened to be Kshatriyas, they were specifically trained in military science, politics, and mathematics. In politics, there are 6 departments of knowledge: how to make peace, how to fight, how to pacify, how to divide and rule, and how to give shelter, etc. All these items were fully explained and instructed to Krishna and Balaram.
That's a 1930s painting. Art Deco style. I think you can tell a little bit by the way Krishna looks. Sandipani Muni sitting up on his asana. Krishna really stands out amongst his classmates, doesn't he? Imagine going to school with Krishna.
I found
yeah.
Well, this was relating to the question of that Anandapati gave me about Yasoda. So I said, well, let me look it up. So this is from Gopal Champu, and this is now this is before Krishna took his second thread, okay? And then now it says this: when Rohini arrived in Mathura, Balaram and Krishna offered respects and met her. Yasoda appeared there vividly. She appeared in the mind of not only the 2 sons, but in the mind of Rohini as well. The conduct of prema is beyond intelligence. See its astonishing nature. When Krishna fell at Rohini's feet, Yasoda appeared in his heart. He cried, and Rohini, in the same mood, cried like an offspring. After Krishna, with tears, heard of Yasoda's actions on the day before separation, Balaram inquired from Rohini, and she revealed the non-difference of herself and Yasoda. On another day, when Rohini met with her co-wives along with Vasudeva, she spoke while understanding they did not want to hear about Krishna in Braja. So I'll leave there. But 2 things: that Devaki appeared, didn't come, but appeared in the mind of both Baladev and Krishna, as well as Rohini. And they were able to perceive her like that. And then Rohini showed that she's, in one sense, that she can be non-different, as Yasoda also would come into her heart. So that answers that. Okay.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
Piper, are you familiar with who Rohini is?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's Lord Balaram took birth from Rohini, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or I guess, did he actually take birth, or
No, just appeared.
just appeared? Yeah.
Whose turn is it now?
I think it's Krishna Chandra.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Jai. The ocean is the source of water in a river. The cloud is created by the evaporation of ocean water, and the same water is distributed as rain all over the surface of the earth, and then returns toward the ocean in rivers. So Krishna and Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are the source of all kinds of knowledge. But because they were playing like ordinary human boys, they set the example so that everyone would receive knowledge from the right source. Thus, they agreed to take knowledge from a spiritual master.
That's an incredible photo, isn't it?
Hmm.
Is it a photo? It's
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
It's rain on the ocean.
I thought it was a painting.
Oh,
Samsara another little loka.
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
Okay, so Nanda Patni.
I think
This is
we just read.
this slide took me a lot of time to make. It's my most fun slide I've ever made. You'll see why. Starting from the left, top left corner, as she speaks, you'll see how it's being represented, going down the left column and then across the bottom and then back up to the top.
Okay, you want me to read?
Yes, please.
Okay, after hearing only once from the teacher, Krishna and Balaram learned all the arts and sciences. In 64 days and 64 nights, they learned all the necessary arts and sciences that are required in human society. During daytime, they took lessons on a subject from the teacher, and by nightfall, after having heard from the teacher, they were expert in that department of knowledge. Do you want me to go on?
Yes. Well, yes, please.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting because today I was, just to make a point, I was reading the third canto, second volume, about how Lord Brahma creates all these arts and sciences in the material world. And I hadn't actually read that before. So, yeah.
Well, you probably did. It's just been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's when you go through step by step the full creation, it's pretty overwhelmingly awesome. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
It's okay. It's like every time we read Prabhupada's books, it's almost like we're reading them for the first time because we're at a different place in our consciousness than we were when we read them the first time.
Mm.
That's also exemplified with when Radha would see Krishna, she would see Krishna like she never met him before. This is the first time I've seen him. Every time she would meet with him, it was like, this is the first time we're meeting. She'd have that impression, like, and sometimes Krishna would do the same. They would, like, you know, every time that Radha would come in front of Krishna, it's like they were meeting for the first time ever. So this was, when I heard this was like astonishing, but this is one of the rasas and the moods that when you see Krishna, when they were seeing Krishna just like, I've never seen him before. He's so beautiful. It's the first time I've ever seen him. That
Wow.
mood would come every time that would happen. So just, you know, when you were saying, yeah, we're in a different spot every time we read. I remember, like, when Prabhupada used to say, the Bhagavad Gita and the books were like windows to the spiritual world, the paintings and stuff. So what happened, it's like that. When our consciousness is, we're looking at a little window, it's like covered all sorts with paint and a little hole scratched in it. And you can kind of peep through it. And you're taking your eye there and you're trying to look at something outside. But gradually, as the washing process, Chetodarpana Marjanam, starts cleansing, and they always go, oh, look at that. You can start seeing more and more. So the same book and the same verse and the same chapter you can read, and then as you read it different times, you will see completely different things in the verse you never ever saw before. And that's the development of spiritual consciousness and intelligence and purity.
Mm.
Nava Yovanam Cha, ever
Yovanamcha, yeah, I was just thinking that.
ever fresh, ever youthful. Or as Bob Dylan sings, forever young. Sorry to bring it down to the Monday platform. Okay, Nanda Patni, you were reading.
So
Take your time going through this. It's a lot
first
of
of
nectar here.
all, they learned how to sing, how to compose songs and how to recognize the different tunes. They learned the favorable and unfavorable accents and meters, how to sing different kinds of rhythms and melodies, and how to follow them by beating different kinds of drums. They learned how to dance with rhythm, melody, and different songs. They learned how to write dramas. They learned various types of paintings, beginning from different village arts up to the highest perfectional stage. And they also learned how to paint tilak on the face and make different kinds of dots on the forehead and cheeks. Scroll, scroll. Then they learned the art of painting on the floor with liquid pastes of rice and flour. Such paintings are very popular at auspicious ceremonies performed at household affairs or in the temple.
Can you just stop for a second, please? I don't know if any of you have been following, but that's what this is that she's describing right now. It's called Rangoli, I think it's called.
Rangavali.
Rangavali?
Rangavali.
Rangavali. So this is all done with rice flour. Isn't that amazing?
They do it quite a lot in Mayapur, actually.
Yes, I've seen it,
At our
but not.
temple. Yeah.
I haven't seen the color like this. Not so much. More like with brown, with henna, isn't it? It looks like henna.
They do. No, they do it. They definitely do it like this. And sometimes they do it with flower petals too.
Nice. And just above that is the different tilaks here, according to what Vaishnav Sampradaya one belongs to. The first one is, what does it say? I should need to get my glasses on.
Basic form.
Okay, thank you. Basic form, right. Then Nityananda Parivar, then Advaita Charya Parivar, which looks quite similar to ours. And Narottam Thakur Parivar also looks like ours. And then Ganga Narayan Chakravarti Parivar. And then Nandapatni, you're going to read next. What's the next part?
They learn to make a resting place with flowers.
That's what this is. Isn't that amazing? Can you see?
Yeah. Roses.
It's got like cedar branches or something underneath.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the best I could do.
That's pretty good. Good find. Top marks.
Thank you.
They learned how to place resting place with flowers. Of course, they make these beautiful beds of flowers for Radha and Krishna.
That's what I was looking for.
Anyway, they and how to decorate clothing and leaves with
Hold on.
colorful paintings.
Yes, so have a check these out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, wow, it is so cool what Krishna and Balaram were learning in school. I mean, I don't remember going to school and painting leaves. Do you?
Yeah. I
Yeah?
do. Yeah, we did all sorts of stuff like that.
Look how beautiful these leaves are. Aren't they pretty?
Yeah. They also learned how to set different valuable jewels in
So that's what this
ornaments.
is. This is the famous
The crown jewels.
Kohinoor.
Hmm.
God save the queen.
Yeah, that's what they wear at the coronations. Yeah.
That's the actual Kohinoor jewel there.
Yeah.
And
That
allegedly,
they stole from India.
right?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Came from
You got it.
India. Yeah.
They got it from some deity, didn't they?
No idea.
Rasika, no, he told me that story before. I can't remember it though.
Uh-huh. Allegedly, there's some attempt being made to bring it back to India, but good luck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
They learned the art of wringing water pots.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's what this is here. This one is, if I can get it out, Ghara or Gatam. It's played as a musical instrument.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But from what I'm understanding, the way Krishna and Balaram did it, maybe they had a whole row of them, just like, if you fill up cups with different amounts of water, then
Yeah, you can make the scale. Mm-hmm.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Scroll, scroll.
Scroll.
Water pots are filled with water to a certain measurement so that when one beats on the pots, different tunes are produced. And in the rivers or the lakes while taking bath among friends. They also learned how to decorate with flowers. This art of decorating can still be seen in various of the temples of Vrindavan during the summer season. Yes, especially Radha Raman. Boy, they do a whole kind of flower cottage in
Really?
Radha Raman. Oh, yeah. In Kartik, they did it actually. And earlier in the year, around Julian Yatra, they do it. Yeah, it's really something.
Are you familiar with the Radha Raman temple, Piper?
I've heard of it and I've seen some pictures, but I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's the temple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and it's like a self-manifest deity. It was a Shalagram Shila, but I think the story goes that Krishna, that Krishna in his Shalagram Shila, no, it was Gopal Bhatta Goswami that wanted to worship Krishna in his threefold bending form. Is that correct?
Yes, with, jewelry and like that.
Right.
Mhm.
So here is this art that's shown.
Don't forget that.
Yes.
Don't forget at that time, Rupa Goswami had, had Radha Govinda, and Sanatana Goswami had Radha Madan Mohan.
Mhm.
And so, others had, Radha Shamsundar, Gokulan, like different devotees had different things. So this was a part of the pining of Gopal Bhatta. And so he was worshiping a shalagram. So as he's worshiping that shalagram, then that shalagram manifested into the Radha Raman form that you see today, and that worshipped all the way today from more than 500 years back.
Mm-hmm. Did you finish this section? Thank you.
Not quite. So the art of decorating can still be seen in the temples, in the summer season, and it's called Pulabadi. The dais, the throne, the walls, and the ceiling are fully decorated. Yeah, you can definitely see that in the pictures of Radha Raman. It's just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And a small aromatic fountain of flowers is fixed in the center. Because of these floral decorations, the people, fatigued from the heat of the summer season, become refreshed.
So this one on the right-hand side there, that's not actually a Krishna temple. It's called the Bodha Gaya temple. It's a Buddhist temple in Bihar, but it shows you from the Vedic culture how this tradition is preserved in India.
So in the summer, they do actually use mogra, which is, really perfumed because it's jasmine.
Oh, mogra is jasmine?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I lived in Florida for a couple of years, and I couldn't understand why when I was sleeping at night, there'd be this incredible aroma coming into my bedroom. And I found out it was because there was a jasmine plant.
Night blooming jasmine. It's called night blooming jasmine.
Wow. Unbelievable. We don't get anything like that up here north of Toronto.
It was when Krishna smelled that night blooming jasmine that he wanted the rasa dance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, here's the next one. This one's for you, Piper.
Okay. Krishna and Balaram learned the art of dressing their hair in various styles and fixing a helmet in different positions on the head. They also learned how to perform on a theatrical stage, how to decorate dramatic actors with flower ornaments over the ear, and how to sprinkle sandalwood pulp in water to produce a nice fragrance. They also learned the art of performing magical feats, Within the magical field, there is an art called Bahurupi, by which a person dresses himself in such a way that when he approaches a friend, he cannot be recognized. They also learned how to make.
Excuse me for interrupting you for just a second. That's what the slide in the top right corner is. That's Bahurupi. They dress themselves up very theatrically, and you can't recognize them. But go on.
What is that for?
It's they consider it to be, kind of like magic, in the sense that you can't recognize them because they're so much decorated. Face paint. They use a lot of face paint made from minerals and natural substances.
Okay. They also learned how to make beverages, which are required at various times, and they studied syrups and taste and the effects of intoxication. They learned how to manipulate thin threads for dancing puppets. And they learned how to string wires on musical instruments, such as the veena, sitar, and tempura, to produce melodious sounds. Then they learned puzzles and how to set and solve them. They learned the art of reading books from which even a foolish student can very quickly learn to read the alphabet and comprehend writing. Then they learned how to rehearse and act out a drama. They also studied the art of solving crossword puzzles, filling up the missing space, and making complete words.
So we're a little bit after 9 right now. Does anyone have any thoughts on what we've been reading? It's pretty amazing to hear what Krishna and Balaram were learning in school, in Gurukula.
And I'm sorry, this is Rasangi, but I think one of the most amazing things is how they learned all of that in 64 days. They did one of those skills each day. Let's get real.
Only the Supreme Lord is
right.
capable of. Yes.
Right. That's like
actually
wow.
they already knew all those skills, but they had to show like their regular students, and they learned as they were being taught. They learned it in one day. But Krishna and Balaram eternally already perfected knowledge of all those skills, but in order to enact out their human-like pastimes, they showed themselves as students, so that people wouldn't say, "Oh, they're already learned," and like that. So, in one sense, they learned it in 64 days. In another sense, they already knew it from the beginning.
Right.
It's kind of Aishwarya-like, though. It's not exactly, Braj pastimes. It's kind of Aishwarya-like.
It is Aishwarya-like. But I read earlier the reason why they did that. They didn't want to be perceived as, if they showed themselves all learned and they could guru, then maybe Vyasadeva would be their guru, but they would be shy because they already know all these things. So they wanted to fit in just like a regular gurukul boy would be like, and then learning like that, so they wouldn't be discovered as anything special. Although as soon as they went to gurukul, that they became special by learning all these things so quickly.
And why is it that they did not want to be perceived as being special? What was their?
They didn't want anyone to know that they were not in Mathura, because if they found out they weren't in Mathura, then Jarasandha and others could attack Mathura or attack Braja, and then they will kill all the residents there. So it was a secret. They went secretly. So in order to go secretly, they had to go like kind of incognito as Vaishabhas. Yeah.
Under the radar of the demons.
Yes.
Rasangi, you're the only one that didn't read. So would you like to, this is the last slide that I was able to find.
I don't know if I can see it. I'm on my phone as well.
Oh.
Very little.
Okay. Not so practical for you.
Right now.
Okay. Well,
I can try it. They also learned how to draw pictographic literature. In some countries in the world, pictographic literature is still current. A story is represented by pictures. For instance, a man on a horse and a house are pictured to represent a man going home. Krishna and Balaram also learned the art of architecture, how to construct residential buildings. That's Vastu, right?
Yes.
They learned how to recognize valuable jewels by studying the luster and the quality of their colors, gemology. Then they learned the art of setting jewels with gold and silver. They also learned how to study soil, to find minerals. Oh, let's see if I can see this. You have to scroll. Oh, I think. Right. This study of soil is now a greatly specialized science, but formerly it was common knowledge, even for the ordinary man. They learned to study herbs and plants and to extract medicine from the elements. By studying the different species of plants, they learned how to crossbreed plants and get different types of fruits.
Wow.
That's my
They
work.
learned how to, it's pretty far out, right?
Yeah.
They were herbologists and botanists and yeah.
Right? They learned how to train and engage lambs and cocks in fighting for sporting purposes. Oh no. Don't tell my Mexican neighbors that it's okay. I don't particularly like that because they kill each other.
Right. But Krishna and Balaram can do it, but there's no fault for them. But for us, it is. It's a fault.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Then they learned how to teach parrots to speak and answer the questions of human beings. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's so interesting. We just got schooled. We got schooled ourselves. I feel like I got schooled in learning about Krishna Balaram's education.
The next section is that describes that Krishna and Balaram studied psychology. So you're right up the alley there, Rasangi.
Oh, I want to read that.
Psychology majors.
Right.
I love that they did crossbreeding of plants because that's what I do.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Is that called grafting?
Well, there's grafting, but we've also got a tissue culture lab now, and we also do hand pollination. Yeah, we do all sorts of stuff.
Interesting.
It's great fun.
Just going through this to see how many facets of knowledge Krishna and Balaram studied, it awakened in me that there's so much to learn. But even though we could go into 100 different fields, the most important thing is to hear and chant about the glories of the Lord. Like Satyanarayan said to Prabhupada that he had always wanted to become a doctor. And he said to Prabhupada, what do you think about me becoming an Ayurvedic doctor? And Prabhupada said, not so important. Then he came back and asked him a second time later. I don't know if it was weeks or months later. And Prabhupada said, you should become a doctor of my books. Because there's already so many doctors. But how many doctors are there of Prabhupada's books? Mahabodhi Prabhu, do you have any final words for us this evening?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any thoughts from you, Piper? Oh, you're muted.
No, I said no. I everything is good.
I hope you found it fun.
I found it very enjoyable. Yeah, I didn't know that Krishna was involved in cockfighting, but that's something new.
Wow.
It kind of rubs me the wrong way to hear that.
I know. I'm like an animal. I'm like animal activist, kind of like.
Right. Oh boy.
It's a test of my faith a little bit. Krishna Chandra, anything from you?
Maybe they didn't fight him to the death.
No.
Nothing
Maybe it was
yet.
like Maybe it was like fake wrestling or something. I don't know.
Right. Nanda Patni, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you for finally joining in, Rasangi. Appreciate your presence.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
So we'll continue hearing about how Krishna and Balaram also studied psychology on Monday. Hopefully, Krishna willing. Mahabudhi is usually busy giving his own class at that time. But we're grateful. I'm grateful whenever he can come and help us go deeper into the writings of the six Goswamis and embellish on these wonderful pastimes in the Bhagavatam.
No problem. I sent you 2 emails, so you can let me know after you read them what you think.
Okay, thank you. Please accept my respectful obeisances, everyone. Panchakalpa Trubhyascha
Namaha.
Krishna ki jai, Nitai Gaur Bhakta.
Haribol.